Welcome to Essentials for Adoption-Attuned Parenting, a podcast exploring how parents can best relate and connect to their adopted child. If you have adopted, or even if you are thinking about adopting, this is the show for you. Discover tips and tools for adoption-attuned parenting. This is the podcast for building a strong foundation for your adoptive family. And now, from Growing Intentional Families Together, here are your hosts, coaches and adoptive parents, Susan, David, and Gayle Swift.
Hi, this is Susan from San Diego. Welcome to the Essentials for Adoption-Attuned Parenting. I am so glad you could join us today. As always, I'm here with my co-host, adoption coach, author, adoptee rights activist, and my colleague at Growing Intentional Families Together, Gayle Swift.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Gayle.
It's nice to be together again, sharing some thoughts on adoption. Even though we've put a brief pause on our regular monthly episodes, we do have something important to discuss today. You and I, along with our colleagues at Growing Intentional Families Together, have been developing a new course. And I'd like to talk for a few minutes with you and our listeners about our new course.
Yes, Gayle, let's do it. Let's talk about it. I'm so excited about it. You know, we focus a lot in our broadcast on adoptive family parenting and parenting that is, of course, adoption attuned. We've also had the privilege over many years of talking with a lot of people just beginning to think about adoption. And we realized it would be helpful to them to offer a course for people who are wrestling with the question of whether adopting a child is really right for them.
Yes, it's so complicated, isn't it, Susan? Gosh, I can remember when George and I were trying to make that decision. It's huge. And it's not a decision that you want to make by the seat of your pants or by default. It's fraught with considerations, challenges, and questions, and people are often afraid to ask them. So in our course, people will receive help from us, coaches who have been through the adoption process, all of us, and of course, Sharon, who's an adoptee herself, either as an adoptive parent or an adoptee, hello, little redundancy there, and who can offer guidance on how to get started on the discernment process about adopting. This is something that I am very excited about.
You know, Gayle, when my husband and I, like George and you, were thinking about adoption as a way to create our family, it would have been such a relief to have a space to explore such a life-changing decision before we even began the process. Believe it or not, I think we were in the process when we were thinking about these early questions. And I and the coaches at Growing believe that we should think about these kind of questions even before we put our foot in the door of an agency or however we decide to adopt. So I mean a place without someone trying to, sway us one way or another. A non-judgmental, give it to me straight place is exactly what a person just thinking about adoption may need. A space, to get in touch with your motivations, like why? That may be very clear to some people, but maybe not so clear to others. And what are the deepest desires to parent? What's that all about, and how that influences you as you move towards adopting the process itself? A space to think about what it really means to be an adoptive parent, not just a parent, which is what we talk about all the time on our regular broadcast.
Apples and oranges.
For sure. So not only the roles and responsibilities, but also where do I start the process? So this thorough preparation, we expect to be a good foundation for someone to make a decision that's solid. So whether they decide to adopt or not, they'll be confident about their decision.
Boy, Susan, I don't know about you, but I like to have peace of mind when it comes to making it a really challenging decision. And what could be more challenging than to decide whether you're going to build your family by adoption or not? Certainly you want your decision to be based on accurate, up-to-date information. And we want to help people realize how adoption should prioritize the needs of the child. It's not just about, yes, I'd like to be an adoptive parent. It's recognizing the primary reason adoption exists is to provide families for children.
True.
So people often come to adoption, Susan, most, but not all, after infertility. And many spend years trying to get pregnant. Mm-hmm. And the question for them really is adopting right for me? I mean, they know that they wanted to get pregnant and they wanted to have a family. But there's a distinction between that desire and an active decision that says, well, I'm ready to move on from pregnancy, from the search for pregnancy or the quest for pregnancy, to the quest to become a parent via adoption. It's a bit of a switch.
It is a bit of a switch. I get that distinction. Not every infertile couple will end up choosing to adopt because it's definitely not a simple choice and it's not always the right fit. So as you and I know, it's not a matter of just adopt, right? Yeah. So when people say just adopt, there are tons of factors to consider, and preparation to take. And this course really starts preparing you.
For sure. So it's definitely what we've been spending a lot of time on this course. It has 6 modules, as you know, Susan, and it's self-directed. So people can take it at their own pace. They can run through it several times if they still have questions. Because let's face it, the process of adopting is even more complicated today than it was when we were adopting. And if you've looked at adopting a child on Google, that's it. Hey Siri, how do I adopt a child? Oh, you'll get millions of hits. And the amount of information is so overwhelming, and it can make the decision-making process harder because it's difficult to ferret out the solid information from the misinformation. You don't know necessarily what the source of the information is when you're just making a search on Google. Some of their information may be out of date. It may actually be inaccurate. And this inaccuracy can lead to missteps and delays. I'm proud, and I bet you are too, Susan, that our course does such a good job of covering all these points to help people accomplish their goal. Preparation, information, and competency.
Yeah. You already mentioned, Gayle, that it's packaged as a 6-module on-demand course. You said self-directed. And I want to mention that we have included in the course a few bonuses, such as a discussion about the dangers of adoption myths that continue to permeate our culture. We have some other bonuses as well when you sign up for the course. That's part of that misinformation that you talk about. And here's the thing that's important to understand: the big myths and those that you may be unaware of. So our course points you to information that you wouldn't even know. You don't know what you don't know, kind of thing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I think one of the most important parts, and you've already mentioned it, our course talks about what does it really take to be an adoptive parent? Am I cut out for it? And like you mentioned before, not everybody is cut out for it. And it's good to have an honest conversation about that before you start moving towards the process itself.
Yes, Susan, that honest conversation not only has to take place between you and your partner, if you have one, but between you and yourself. Because sometimes we tell our self things that really need to be examined for accuracy. So we've got this great course. How can people find it?
Well, Gayle, if our listeners want to learn more about the course, they can join us for our free discovery webinar. It's a 50-minute discussion highlighting the features of the course, and you would join Gayle and me and our colleagues, adoption coaches Sally and Sharon, on Wednesday evening, March 29th, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific, to learn more about the course and how to sign up for the course itself. And you don't have to walk this journey alone. Why not benefit from the expertise and lived experience of our team of adoption coaches? You can also, by the way, go to our Growing Intentional Families Together website, and there will be, I believe there's a place to sign up there already in place for the course itself.
Excellent. And one of the things that makes our course unique is it also includes a lot of perspective from Sharon, one of our fellow coaches who happens to be an adult adoptee. So her insights are very valuable, because who knows more about adoption than an adoptee?
Yes, I find her insights to be very informative. And again, I think Sharon says this, adoptive parents are not usually adoptees. So we don't have that perspective. And here we are in the course, Sharon infusing her experience and knowledge into the course itself.
Right.
So whether you're deciding now or sometime in the future, the near or distant future, information is power. So come and join us.
There you go.
So I think we've come to a close for today, and I want to thank our listeners for joining us. Gayle and I invite you to share your experiences with us. As always, go to Growing Intentional Families Together Facebook page to leave your comments. We invite folks to visit our website and read our blogs. Lots of great content there. And you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter. As always, we invite you to tell us what's going on in your family, and let's talk about it, always through the adoption attuned lens.
Absolutely, Susan. So they can also visit our website, giftfamilyservices.com, and they can access the discovery webinar on our website. And the course, again, is titled, Is Adopting a Child Right for Me?
That brings us to a close for today. I'm Susan from beautiful and almost always sunny San Diego.
And I'm Gayle from a very sunny place, Florida, the Sunshine State. And remember, adoption matters. Talk about it, read about it, learn about it. Till next time, we'll talk again.
Thank you for listening to Essentials for Adoption Attuned Parenting. If you liked the program, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help us spread the message about building strong and connected adoptive families. If you'd like more information about Growing Intentional Families Together and their adoption coaches, as well as to sign up for your free coaching consultation, visit giftfamilyservices.com. We have enjoyed being with you and invite you to join us again next time for another Essentials for Adoption Attuned Parenting.